Nancy Pelosi has been criticized as too far moderate and too much of an establishment person. He's really not much of a person at all. He's just kind of a placeholder being shoved in there. What are you talking about? He can remember 3 bullet points. That's it. And then he just goes and drops those. He's pretty good at remembering 3 of those. Now, his leadership has left a vacuum that DSA is filling with socialists. Other socialists called Senator Jabari Jabari, saying Jeffries is rapidly growing out of touch with an insurgent and growing progressive base within his own district that he should pay more attention to. Democrat strategist Andre Richardson, a top Jeffries political advisor, pointed to the sweeping and controversial moves by Trump, saying Jeffries is just failing. Now, Jeffries, when asked about a primary challenge in an interview, responded, "We have no idea what these people are talking about." Jeffries said he's focused on pushing back against extremism that has been unleashed on the American people. What kind of extremism? You mean like communism? Jeffries, Kathy Hochul, Senate Majority Leader, and others, Minority Leader, have praised Mamdani, but they're not endorsing him yet. And they've also got a real big fissure in another key constituency, which is the Jewish community. He made a smart use of social media, and others are saying this might cause some serious disharmony in the Democratic Party. What was the name of the Democrat who ran against him, against Joe Biden, who was laughed at? Against Joe primaries. What was that? That was results of the primaries. Like we will just give the answer on this, but Dean Phillips was the dude's name. Yeah, Dean Phillips. So he got asked about this, and he was on X, and somebody asked him, "What do you think about the future of the Democratic Party?" And here's what he said when he was on CNN, over courtesy of The Blaze.
The current DNC chair, Ken Martin, fellow Minnesotan, use you as an example in saying the party is a Big Tent. It can welcome people from different ideological perspectives. I think he used the example of you couldn't win a race in Ilhan Omar's district and she couldn't win a race in yours. Is there room for you and Mamdani in the Democratic Party?
I think it's a fine question. I think it's one that many Republicans have been asking about, whether there's room for traditional conservatives in a party now led by MAGA Republicans like Donald Trump. The answer ultimately, I think, is no. We do share many of the same values. In fact, most Americans share a lot of the same values. But as a political party, yes, you want diversity. You want some differences of opinion, perspective, life story, politics, and experience. But when you have socialists in the Democratic Party, I don't know how anybody could argue that would be beneficial for the party or the country. Therein lies the great challenge. Same thing on the right, Omar. Is MAGA the future of the Republican Party? If it is, there is going to be a new, grand, successful third party in America, because the overwhelming majority of Americans want neither far left or far right politics. They want decency, they want common sense, competency, and cooperation. And no party right now is elevating candidates who represent those ideals.
Okay, so he's half right on this. Obviously, Trump is the one who's delivering the populist agenda. Okay, both parties forever wanted a wide open border. Both parties forever wanted endless wars. They wanted the NGOs and the USAID grants and all the foreign aid money and all that stuff.
D-News, okay, sorry.
And over this. And so Trump was the reaction to this. Like, I think he's got part of the idea right, in that the majority of the country does want something that is not a two-party system. Trump has delivered that exactly. That's what MAGA is. That's what our point has been for a long time. That if the Republican Party reverts back to Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney,
The News,
Lindsey Graham, Paul Ryan, we're out. We're out.
Put a hyphen there. The News.
Not interested in that, okay? Because they're going to open the borders again. They're going to acquiesce on all the cultural issues.
They say DE. I'm all right. I'm just setting out to set up a phone for somebody and drop off a laptop I just set up for them. It's an hour away, though. Hey, what the hell? I'll fire up the stream. You got a Rumble? You have a Rumble account? Because I'm trying to get... I need to get 20 unique chatters in Rumble. this month to stay monetized on Rumble. Just use your Gmail to set one up if you want. And if you go in there, you'll probably get a premium membership. Stuff. Whatever's in that trailer is heavy. That Yukon's. Yeah, tech support. I do all the technology stuff for this company. They've got like 5 different buildings. Keeps me busy. So I find a full-time day job.
That was our reaction. Now, the Democrats would have a healthy reaction to Joe Biden. But Joe Biden was already pretty far left. Joe Biden was gone, for 4 years, but the people who were in charge were transing up the entire nation, sending billions to everybody all over the world. We're enabling people like Stacey Abrams to get $2 billion for nothing for 501c3. She started like 2 days ago. And that grift was perfect for them. It was very far left. And their response to that is not to move to the middle. It's not like a Trumpian response where they're going to come back and have some more populist policies. Although you could argue that's exactly what Mamdani is doing, right? He's trying to sell, he's a good salesman of economic policy just under the socialist mantle. And that's why it's working for him. But we'll see where it goes. Ultimately, I hope that he's right, at least with the Democrats, that there's not a critical mass of them. And this actually does more to cause a fissure and a fracture in the party than anything else. But, of course, we'll see. Now, we also have this story from the FBI. James Comey heavily surveilled. You remember this dude. Former FBI director, absolutely corrupt. Daughter Maureen Comey ran the Epstein case, ran the Diddy case. And James was walking on a beach and took a picture of 8647, which was, as many people interpreted it to be, a threat on the president. Now, after he put that picture on Instagram, law enforcement tailed his car and tracked his cell phone. New York Times says that's usually reserved for serious threats. This dude is a threat to America. The Secret Service had the former FBI director followed by law enforcement authorities in unmarked cars and street clothes and tracked the location of his cell phone the day after he posted that image. Now, Comey and his wife, Patrice, were tailed by authorities as they drove from North Carolina, where they had been vacationing, through Virginia to their home in Washington, the official said, describing the details of the surveillance on condition of anonymity. Now, at the same time, the Secret Service was also receiving information showing the location of his phone, while federal authorities were stationed at his home waiting for him to return. The intense surveillance occurred a day after Comey, long perceived to be a Trump enemy because he helped create the attempted coup against Trump in 2016, the first term, posted that fake photo on the beach. It's like, I found this. The shells were arranged in this formation. Critics say, yeah, he wanted to kill Trump, basically. Shortly after the image was posted, Trump Jr. wrote on this. He said, interesting, FBI directors casually calling for my dad to be murdered. Interesting how they would do that. When Mr. Comey learned of the uproar, he deleted it. He said, well, I didn't know it had a violent connotation, and I oppose violence of any kind. The Secret Service interviewed him by phone that evening. Comey said, I have no intent to cause the president harm. Perfect, right? Oh, the statute requires intent to cause harm. He says, I have no intent to cause harm, because he knows exactly what he did. Typically, that would have been the extent of the investigation into someone like Comey, who has no violent history and previously led the most corrupt law enforcement official ever. But there was more than enough to establish the six threat. Instead, the Secret Service responded. They deployed physical and digital surveillance. It's going to be just made a threat that the former official said would typically be used for someone who was an active threat. Now, it's unclear whether Comey's car was tailed by Secret Service or other federal agents or what. But they said, yeah, these were exigent circumstances. This is a term meaning we don't know what the suit's doing. So they've been under intense scrutiny. A couple people just got suspended for the Butler shooting in the Secret Service. Total disaster for the agency. The Secret Service declined to comment. Comey has not been charged with the crime. The status of the inquiry is unclear. The DOJ did not respond to the request for comment. And Comey's representatives also proclaimed to come back. So he got tail.
Let's go! Jesus.
And there's more going on. Because as we saw, we heard that Brennan and Comey have also been the subject of another investigation. This one from the Times also says they're targeting both of these folks. John Ratcliffe made the criminal referral back over to the FBI, saying scrutinizing Comey's role for his involvement in the Russia investigation, meaning Obama, Brennan, and Clapper, to create a fake Russian hoax to try to steal the election over Trump. Even if it's unclear whether the move will lead to charges, they're looking quite nervous. Nobody wants to comment about it, but John Brennan was out over there, sounding pretty nervous, town hall saying, he's now basically saying that Trump is like a Nazi, which is what they always say when they're panicked. If the president is willing to weaponize intelligence, we're in deep trouble, says the man who was the godfather of weaponizing intelligence against President Trump.
I keep thinking, okay, this is the authoritarian playbook. We've seen this play out so many times, and unfortunately, I think we're seeing it play out. And a number of academics and writers have pointed out, and Carl Schmitt, who was a German jurist, political philosopher, and writer in the 1930s, his thesis, which Nazi Germany basically up, was don't worry about doing something that is ethical or principled or good or right. Do whatever you can to win. Vanquish your adversaries, vanquish your enemies. And unfortunately, we have seen that happening overseas. We've seen it in Viktor Orban in Hungary. We've seen it with Vladimir Putin. We see it in China, other places. We see it also in terms of, some of the foreign policies that are being implemented, including, in the Middle East right now. So I really am worried that what we're seeing.
Edmund Green Springs missing.
Is a sad deterioration.
Should have stopped and washed my windshield, man. I didn't realize how much bugs I had last night. I don't know how much you guys can see it.
The President of the United States is willing to weaponize intelligence, and justice, and law enforcement investigators, and the people who head up these departments and agencies are willing to bow to it. We really are in deep, deep trouble, which was why I think so many people are worried about the direction this country is taking.
Yeah, you are in deep trouble there, John. Nothing's going to happen to this guy. He's going to go to the CIA, and nothing happens to him. So, yeah, there'll be investigations. He'll be out here panicking. But is he going to get indicted? Is he going to get arrested or something like that? Absolutely not. CIA will have too much institutional damage to them. And it just won't happen. We've already seen what happened with the Epstein stuff. So, it's nice that he's being investigated. Hopefully, we get some more materials on it. But this guy was the person responsible for weaponizing most of the intelligence and was driving it home to try to create something that wasn't there because he hated Trump and just wanted to win the election. And he is a monstrous person. To watch him come out here and try to lecture everybody, look down his nose at the rest of us, after he just spent his entire career trying to shore up the deep state of the CIA against his opponents, is rich. But now he's under investigation. Hans Mackey also shared this yesterday. I didn't realize this. We talked about Mackey yesterday. But Mackey, of course, was prosecuted back during that Biden era. And remember that criminal complaint was filed like immediately after Biden got sworn in, like January 22nd, remember? Hans, though, is clarifying. He says, you know what? Douglas Mackey wasn't targeted by Biden. He was targeted by a Trump appointee. That guy was called Seth Ducharme. Don't know if he's still there. Probably is. Who maliciously filed the indictment immediately after Trump left office, ensuring there was no chance for a pardon. Right? That's why it came about. And so it wasn't some Biden DOJ person. It was a Trump DOJ person who came after.
It doesn't matter. Half of the people he appointed hated him.
Mackey was the person who posted the meeting. And so it's a very disgusting institution through and through. And so then they also brought out this dude, Mark Elias, who was also a part of the coup attempt. Remember, Mark Elias worked for Perkins Coie. Perkins Coie was facilitating with a contractor called Fusion GPS. Fusion GPS was the entity that went and got the Steele dossier, and then they passed it back up the chain, back over to Perkins Coie, the law firm, gave off the Elias gave it to Michael Sussman, who was another lawyer there. Then Michael Sussman went and sold it to the media and to the FBI. He got charged, but acquitted because the jurors in D.C. said that there were bigger things to worry about. But Mark Elias was called in on that trial. If you recall, we went through and covered that in depth.
Oh shit! Now they're saying that I don't have to.
Mark Elias, who's a smart dude, don't get it wrong here, but he's a smart dude, and he says that I can't recall anything about what happened in that. He took the stand and just sat there like a moron, couldn't think or remember anything because he's so young. Now he's nervous that Trump's coming after his buddy Brennan and Comey.
We predicted you and others that we were going to get to this moment.
Well, because you're criminal. Yeah, you broke the law, and you realize that if you get caught breaking the law, like you guys broke glass in case of emergency to try to stop Trump from winning, you failed. So yeah, now this is going to happen, and you were persuading everybody, trying to say, well, it's going to be Trump exacting retribution. No. It's just following the law. You guys broke the law, violated your ethical duties and statutory duties to not weaponize prosecution against the president, and now the investigation is completely appropriate. Mark.
The question is, what do we do? And the question of what we do is
guilty.
The first question is, what do we do? Do we retreat and hide in the corner? So I'm
Yes.
on TV today, not hiding in the corner. I'm not retreating. I'm saying I'm going to stand up and fight. And Donald Trump wanted to make me by going back to this 2016 stuff. And
Well, you seem pretty
the other
intimidating.
thing we've talked about is, what do large institutions do? What do civil society groups do? What does the media do? And I am imploring, honestly, I'm just imploring the media, do not report this as a legitimate investigation. Do not report this as opening a investigation into John Brennan. We will see where it goes. Report this as the misuse, the abuse, the authoritarian takeover of the Department of Justice. That should be the headline. That should be in a misuse and abuse of the power of the executive branch. Donald Trump has asked his Department of Justice to open a bogus investigation into John Brennan.
So panicked and nervous as can be. Don't let people make up their own minds about any of this. Just tell them what is happening. Tell them right away that the Justice Department is now invalid. And remember, the people elected Trump. So the Justice Department should have the validity and the endorsement of the people because we just voted for it. It's not some rogue agency that Trump took over. He was properly elected. So why would the media default to undermining the legitimacy that was handed to this government? Undermining the will of the people, their own audience.
They said
because they've got an agenda, and that's what he wants them to stand up on, is their agenda, not the truth. Now, this other monstrous person, we got a lot of monsters here today,
who's they?
Is Senator Tillis.
What's this idiot doing, man?
Who, as far as I can tell,
fucking in the fast lane and fucking barely doing the speed limit.
Anti-Trump operation because he's so sore in the
fucking idiot
over the January 6th incident, which was rigged by the government.
Look at that guy! Oh my God! What a fucking asshole!
He's not going to be in the Senate anymore, and good riddance to him. And he is saying in his final days he's going to be a menace, just like he's been his entire tenure.
I was here. I was the last member of the chamber on January 6th. I saw everything unfold, and I'm still angry about it. And I have no tolerance for anyone. The president should know if there is anyone coming up for a nomination through any committee of my jurisdiction that excused January the 6th, that they're not going to get confirmed in my remaining tenure in the U.S. Senate.
All right. Well, we're excited to have you go. Tillis, one of the worst, and he is now on his way out. So FBI people now getting investigated, CIA getting investigated. We've got Mark Elias absolutely freaked out about how this is being reported because he needs all hands on deck.
I have to go too.
Tom Tillis is on his way out. Bye bye, Tom.
I don't have to be there as fast as I thought I did, though. It means we're stopping at Sheetz when we get to Fremont.
And how was your first day? Is the big question. What's up, Rye T?
All right.
Good to see you.
Guys, real estate, you're a landlord, stocks, you're a day trader, crypto, you're a full-time researcher, you have a life. Your investment should help you live it. You deserve a strategy that builds wealth without sacrificing your sanity or freedom. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Gold doesn't demand your attention. It doesn't crash overnight. It doesn't care who's trending on Twitter. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of investors just like you, people who want both profit and peace of mind, secure their future with real fiscal gold. There's a reason smart investors are going back to basics and choosing the only asset trusted by civilizations for thousands of years. Gold offers freedom and peace of mind, 1 ounce at a time. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
Okay, you up ahead here? Yep. It's facing the other way, though. I'm going to say he's not there because he's not even looking this way.
All right, so I looked it up during the break. New Hampshire Public Radio. New Hampshire judge blocks Trump birthright citizenship order nationwide. The Supreme Court just said they can't do that. Now, that should be thrown out immediately. But it says right here, federal judge in Congress blocked the enforcement of President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship Thursday. Judge Joseph LaPlante granted a preliminary injunction in a lawsuit brought by the American Civil Liberties Union, no shocker there, and others on behalf of 3 non-citizen parents. Well, other articles say they're pregnant. So non-citizen pregnant women now have standing to sue the administration over what our Constitution says. That's amazing. That's amazing. 1-695 Patriot 957-287. Let me get some calls here. Tyler, Iowa, you're first up on the Will Count Majority. Hello.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you so much. You were suggesting earlier today that the CIA might have been the one behind running Jeffrey Epstein. What I just wanted to point out is Gertrude Maxwell is more likely to handle her because she's related to Robert Maxwell, who's a recognized and honored member of the Mossad. Well, so what I'm pretty sure was going on here.
He died in 1991.
Yeah, but he still would have gotten her in the position. I mean, Mossad is not going to recognize that she's an agent if she's in deep cover.
Okay.
So by running Jeffrey, that gives them dirt on our politicians that they can blackmail them with. And I'm pretty sure they're not the only ones doing it.
You know, here's there's 2 sides. There's 3 sides to this. One, as much as I am not trying to make light of the trafficking of women, but let's be honest. Like what Trump said about rich and powerful people, wherever there's rich and powerful men, there's women looking to be with those rich and powerful men. Okay, that's true. We know that's true. Also, these rich and powerful men, if they're dumb enough to participate in this, I can see why Trump would be nowhere near this. The guy is too street smart. And whatever client list may exist is not going to be like Bill Gates was with Becky on Tuesday at, like nobody's dumb enough to write that stuff down.
I just wonder if they've got, literal, I don't know if we could ever find it, but literal videotape evidence that whoever was running the operation held as blackmail on these politicians.
Well, here's something. I don't know if anybody remembers me asking this. Reach out to Roger Stone. See if we can get it back on him. I asked Roger Stone in 2016, and I said, is there a possibility that Donald Trump, with all his various properties, may have videotapes of Bill Clinton coming and going with other women? He said maybe he does, maybe he doesn't.
And the suggestion would probably be enough to...
Now, I'm not saying that Trump would facilitate I'm saying that, Bill Clinton had, his liaisons, and they were friends. I'm not saying Trump was involved in anything illegal, but it wouldn't surprise me if, Bill might have taken some of his lady guests to a Trump property.
Why are these trucks in the fast lane?
True. I hadn't thought of that.
I mean, it's not like Trump is running the bellhop desk. It's not, handing him the keys to the room. But Stone said to me, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But whenever they put up that picture of Donald Trump with Epstein, there are way more pictures of Bill Clinton with Epstein.
Oh, 100%. And real quick, were you like the Ramones? One of the groups I found, which I think is actually going to be in the New York area pretty soon, is Sabaton. You might want to check them out. They're kind of cool.
Okay, I'll look into it. Thank you for the call. Let's see. Who do we have here? Andy, Austin, Texas. How you doing? How's your fire chief doing?
You know, he's come under fire. The guy certainly found a good way to lose the support of the union, which has gotten difficult to do.
Well, you know what's funny is
Hey, Mitty. Sorry, 357. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I had my earbud turned out of my ear for a second. I was dealing with something. Hey, guys. Hey, I beg of you, please, if you could, while we're doing this, pop into the Rumble stream and say hi and chat. I have to have 20 unique chatters to maintain my monetization.
Hey, listen,
just go in there and say howdy.
Investigation is Comey and Brennan. It's about time. I mean, I know that I heard on the Sean Hannity show years ago, who Greg Jarrett, I think, was being interviewed, and his source was, I think, John Solomon, that there was a meeting in the White House, in the Oval Office, on like January 5th or the 7th, 2017. And it was Sally Yates, it was Barack Obama, it was Joe Biden, it was
Hold on. I'm not saying you didn't hear that on Hannity, but Solomon works here. You might have heard it here because Solomon's a regular on this program as well.
Yeah, but I mean, this was years ago.
I know. And John Solomon works. John Solomon works here.
But the whole conversation was about how could we keep this phony Russian dossier story alive? And this is such a clear case of conspiracy. I think it's also defamation. If I was Donald Trump, I mean, I think he's got clear defamation out of this.
This stream on Rumble. I stream to both at the same time generally, at least for a while. Just do the forgot password or something. We'll get you back in. Thanks, 357. Thanks, Biddy. Thank you, guys.
During the Mueller investigation, Democrats openly said if Trump has nothing to hide, why not sit down with Mueller's team? So if Brennan and Comey have nothing to hide, why not sit down with Patel and Bongino's team?
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen.
That was their attitude. Their attitude was Donald Trump had to prove his innocence.
I'm telling you, I like Rumble. You can actually say the things you want to say there, and you don't get demonetized over it. Hey, Jeff.
Well, you can listen to his program Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. right here on Sirius XM Patriot.
Well, I'm glad you told me that because I didn't know he was on this show.
He's a regular here. He's got Just the news radio.
Yeah, he should. But I mean, I think the reason that they never got traction or never was going to be investigated was because Barack Obama was part of it, you know. But everybody in that room, in my opinion, is guilty of conspiracy because they acted on that information. They acted, and they did it for one reason, and that was to shut the power of the presidency, which, man, it's pretty, you know, for Donald Trump.
You guys are still over there on Rumble. I'm going to send one of you a premium membership because they're basically free for me to donate them.
I feel that.
Because I get the money right back, minus 11 cents.
These guys are as corrupt as hell. How did a Communist Party member become the head of the CIA? Only in Obama. Only in Obama. Let's see what we have here. Brian.
Yeah, it's trying to.
Majority low.
And I'm loving it.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to answer the question from yesterday about the Trump administration captured by the Five Eyes. I think this is a clear statement that they are. They just sent more weapons to Ukraine. We're supposed to be getting out of that war.
There you go, 357 got the premium membership.
It disappeared, and of course, people, they satirize the whole idea of that stuff. If the intelligence agencies were running those types of programs, they would be collecting that data every day. They would be collecting it on a 24-hour basis, processing it, and then
I was only doing 4 hours, so I didn't hit the brakes.
Blackmail schemes or control that they wanted to do. So people need to understand that even if there is a list or tapes or whatever, that information was gathered up, 50 years that they've been doing this stuff. So, I mean, heck, even Herbert Hoover was known for having his FBI files on everybody, so he can control the person. So, I mean, the idea that people are shocked or surprised that our clandestine agencies or the people we work with overseas have been using these types of situations to blackmail people in high places or people.
All right, Mitty, let me. You're still in there too? Hang on.
I mean, what world are you living in? You know, you need to wake up into the reality.
Well, hold on. I don't think you can make the case that Trump has been captured because he is starting the transfer of. Trump transferred weapons to Ukraine during his first term,
and they're going to hit Iran again. They're already talking about Israel wanting to strike Iran again because they didn't get everything in the first go round. There's this whole Mount Hatchet or Mount Hammer.
Okay, well, I don't know. I'm out of time here. I don't know if you're telling me that Iran should have a nuclear bomb. But I don't believe for a second that Donald Trump's been captured. Second hour next. Danielle Alvarez, RNC Senior Advisor in studio. Top of the hour, SiriusXM Patriot.
See who gets it. There you go, Mitty got it.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Message and lyrics available. Do your joints hurt? Are you struggling to do daily activities? Is joint discomfort preventing you from living your best life? Then you need fast-acting dynamic joint from Stonehenge Health. It's shown to deliver joint comfort in just 5 days.
You have got to try out the
Hey, Missing Remote, welcome. Thank you.
In just 5 days, I noticed a big
Make sure you follow the channel. Yeah, that's actually how I do it with all my different Rumble logins.
Joint works fast, powered by a potent blend of scientifically backed ingredients, including turmeric, 4 types of collagen, and Upreflex, which is clinically shown to ease stiffness and discomfort in just 5 days. Get Stonehenge Health Dynamic Joint today and feel better fast. You'll even get a 90-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. Text FLEX to 35555. Text FLEX to 35555. Text FLEX to 35555.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com. If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company.
All right, I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna do one more for Missing Remote.
If your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything, from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic.
There you go, Missing.
Act now and get
So now, even if I do premium streams, you'll be able to hop in here
value free.
for at least the next month. After that, you got to do it yourself.
That's 800-294-7532. 800-294-7532. Secure Mortgage, free mortgage, free mortgage. Conservative principles live here. We are Sirius XM Channel 125. Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
Thanks for the sub.
People missing in the catastrophic Texas flash flood continues.
Missing.
Emotional stories are emerging. This man, Michael Atkins.
You got it before, Minnie. You got the one beforehand. You may have to refresh, but you'll have a red symbol. Yeah, I can see it on there. On my chat phone. You got one.
Texas officials say 161 people still considered missing after the extraordinary flood swamped parts of Kirk County and nearby areas. It's a big number in addition to at least 120 confirmed deaths. Governor Greg Abbott says the investigators will not stop until everyone is accounted for. Also at townhall.com, 31 construction workers successfully rescued from a partially collapsed tunnel in Los Angeles.
31 construction LA interim fire chief Ronnie Villanueva.
A structure failure of the tunnel line failed approximately 5 to 6 miles in.
Authorities say the workers climbed over more than 12 feet of soil to reach a boring machine, and all were transported back to the one single opening of the tunnel.
Oh, that's cool.
Mayor Karen Bass says that on the way to the scene, she felt the worst.
We're all blessed today in Los Angeles. No one injured. Everyone's safe.
All audio courtesy of KABC. I'm Donald Boyer.
U.S. applications for unemployment benefits fell last week, remaining in the historically healthy range of the past couple of years. Labor Department reports jobless claims fell by 5,000 to 227,000. On Wall Street, the Dow is ahead 240.
Yeah, we got these companies admitting that they've been cloud seeding, but they're saying, "Oh, but this has nothing to do with it." It may not directly, but you don't invent rain when you cloud seed. You're pulling it from somewhere else, which means you're concentrating it in one area. These motherfuckers are doing this on purpose.
Let me tell you, it's not your fault. Your body is working against you, and delaying action only makes it harder.
Oh yeah, I know, man. I know, Mitty. It's a good one. Hey, actually, there was an expert on that yesterday on the quartering. You should probably check that out. She's from Southwest Michigan, but she was in. She knows all about it. She's a whistleblower about that before they even started admitting they were doing it. Yeah, they don't create rain. They're literally steering it and pulling it from somewhere else, which is causing another place to be dry. You know, let nature do this shit on its own. China messed with it for a while, and look at all the big floods they had there. Yeah, I saw that too. The dude with the fucking Kentucky waterfall.
Shaky property sector.
Residents wearing masks to protect themselves from thick volcanic ash that has blanketed several Indonesian villages as rumbling Mount Luatumi Laki has erupted again.
So what I'm gonna do though is when I get there, I'm gonna grab a phone out of someone's desk because I need to reset. But I'm gonna hang with you guys out here and work from in here. My AC works better. Yeah, they can't create it. They have to to seed it, they have to have the seeding pulls it from somewhere else. But the big thing about it is this: that the woman was talking about yesterday, that there was a whistleblower about it, is that the heavy metals they use to do it are heavy metals that our bodies cannot eliminate. Yeah, our bodies can't eliminate those metals. No worries. Rick's missing. Appreciate their support on Rumble, though. At least now you'll get a notification. That's how I log into most of my Rumble channels, though, is I just use the Gmail. I've got fucking a dozen different Gmail accounts I use, depending on what type of work I'm using it for. I got a bunch of business ones too for all the different job sites and stuff. Yeah, no shit. If it starts raining hard, head to high ground. And I'm not blaming the kids or anything like that in Texas. It's gotta kind of blame the counselors. And they had like a 3-hour. Well, I guess there's no signal there either. They didn't have much of a warning. But anyway, common sense. Anywhere in a dry area, suddenly starts getting a bunch of rain. You start heading up.
It's, if you're a young person, especially a young man, do you want a mother hen government? Do you want a big mama government sitting on you, telling you that, first of all, toxic masculinity is all that's wrong with society, that it's better to be cared for by government than to provide for yourself, to go out, stake your claim. It seems like a lot of here, and I'll borrow that a lot of young men are looking at more traditional masculine roles. And I've said this, there's also a huge percentage of young women who feel the same way, that this sort of...
I've got a couple of Gmail accounts that I've had since back when you needed an invite to get a Gmail account.
That there won't be enough good conservative women to go around.
And once I got it, I could only send out like 10 invites a month while they were growing, when they first came out with Gmail. But it was the best thing in the world because you already had the drive space and everything that came with it. I was storing files and stuff like that. That was my initial cloud drive. They've expanded how much you can get for free for longest time.
Very cool. It is about being cool and that specific word. And to your point, not necessarily who you'd have a beer with, but President Donald Trump made being conservative cool, made being patriotic, to put a finer point on it, cool, made being
what do you mean, Miss, in the U.S. Army?
Cool. And so I think that the left swung way too far. To your point, being masculine and being a boy. I'm a young mom. I have 2 girls, and I actually talk to my mom friends or moms of boys, and I just think of how hard it must be for them to raise boys in this current environment. I have 2 girls, thank God. But
look at that sign. That guy's got a big ass chrome.
Especially this generation, who is probably in college right now, like what you would traditionally
wind vane on top of his truck. It's just fucking reflecting over everything. That should be a fucking illegal, man. It's blinding me. Look at, see the reflection on the sign there?
They didn't think about getting married, starting a family, buying a home. It was hard to find a job. I mean, and then you also grew up with
indoctrination.
Like, let men be men and let girls be girls, and that's just okay. And I think the normalcy is cool. The counterculture is now mainstream again, thanks to President Trump.
Well, it's funny that feminism, the first wave, was a Republican wave. Right around the corner from here is the Women's National Republican Club. And they have an archive of the suffragettes, of Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Claire Booth Luce, Seneca Falls Convention, Susan B. Anthony. I got married. Okay, my wife, she walked in, she's like, this is where we're getting married. The first wave of feminism in this country was Republican. It wasn't women who wanted to be combative. They were saying, we want to be treated under our constitutional system of government. No complaint. Okay. The second and third wave of feminism was a different thing, and then it became, not only was it women have to go into the workforce, have to succeed, have to grow boss. It was, what do you even really need a man for? Right? It was dominate men. It was you want to talk about toxic femininity. It kind of ran its course. And now I'm not surprised that the trend is younger people not just saying, if it feels good, do it. To treat one another as just objects, that you do see a push back now toward more traditional gender roles. Now, that doesn't mean every woman's going to go and be a homemaker, but it also means that that's your choice.
Oh, that's crazy. 357.
The girl bossing was women who stayed at home were beneath you. We're second class. We're not counted in feminism, even if it was the choice they were making. Again, going back to that first wave, you would think that feminists today would respect the choices that women make, even if it's not the choices they make.
They don't. And, I don't often talk about myself personally. I feel like my husband, who I'm certain is listening, hi, honey, would roll his eyes at me. But even in my own household, we have a very traditional conservative relationship. And I think that that's part of biology and the calling that God has had for us. Yes, I am the RNC senior advisor. I was a senior advisor to the president's campaign, and I go and I work hard. But ultimately, I'm a woman and I'm soft, and I love being a mother. I love raising my
Oh yeah,
kids.
they'd have been able to communicate. I mean, they got satellite communications. They've got, yeah. That's why I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, we had that shit back when I was in the military. All right, guys, I'll be right back.
I think there's something really beautiful for the way that we've done it for, all of humanity and the way that God has designed biology. And I think it should be okay that the thing that I'm most proud of, yes, I am very successful in my career, and, I work to elect the president of the United States, but I'm a mom to a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old girl, and I take pride in my home life and being a wife, and I'm not apologizing for that, and I don't think any woman should.
The social attitude of the Obama years was that the government should take care of you, that the government was your mother, the government, remember The Life of Julia, and I don't think that's ingrained in American DNA. I think ingrained in American DNA is you make your own path. I saw that, what was that quote from Neil deGrasse Tyson? It's okay to push some bootstraps, we got to have boots. Well, lots of people, only in our system of government, only in our economy can people with absolutely nothing become something and have more than their parents had. That doesn't happen because of government. It happens because of you, the individual. In the American DNA, it's not that you make a family just so you can be a unit of the state or the government. You want to live a free and independent life, and you want to apply yourself for the things that you want in this world, and you hope the government just manages the handful of things that the Constitution determined. The Democratic Party is saying that you are You didn't build that. You are not an individual. You are a number on a spreadsheet. Some faraway governing elite is going to figure out your life for you. That was the socialist cool of the Obama years. But now that trend seems to be going away, and that's why I can see how attractive the Republican Party has become. And what's even funnier is that I look back, and Bill Clinton made Democrats cool. He did, right? But at the same time, he was more of a centrist by comparison to what we're seeing today. He was the one that's the party had gone far to the left.
Democrats have
And now you've got the look. I think Sauron Adami's a flash in the pan. I think it's a sparkle of fate, but it does show that the party thinks that that's their direction, that the country wants to go in that direction, the AOC direction, and I don't see any polls that show that. Even CNN admits the majority of Americans want to see deportation of people in the country illegally. They want taxes kept low. They want to be able to acquire a home, which is private property. They're not asking the government to have some nationwide housing program where the government sticks them in a flat somewhere, like it's some socialist European experiment. That was the Obama years and the millennials. I think Gen Z and Gen Alpha are looking for something more Trumpian, Reagan-esque, more libertarian, I would say.
Yeah, and listen, not all of us millennials. I think that the beautiful thing about our country is the ability to self-determination, and you can make of yourself whatever you would like to create of your life. I'm born and raised in Miami, Florida, to Cuban parents, and my mom.
If anybody knows about the ills of socialism.
And we never actually grew up talking about politics in my house.
I ordered a couple platters.
Weird.
Hey guys, I'm gonna back up to one of these pumps and clean my windshield.
My mom's one of 3 sisters. Her oldest sister was taken away from her parents and brought to the U.S. because when Castro took over, he said the oldest child would be a son or daughter of the revolution. They were going to take them from the family. So out of fear, a lot of Cuban families sent their eldest child to the U.S. alone with nobody. And then, of course, Castro took the next.
What's shady here?
Was to be indoctrinated.
Oh, of course, the satellite radio doesn't want to work right.
At the time. And by the way, all this.
Hey, drop a comment with that link on there. I'd love to check it out as well.
Talking about in grocery stores, you know what you have? You don't get more food, you get less electricity. In Cuba, when we call my family members, they say, "Oh." Found the go around to mainstream media and spoke to these young voters directly, whether it was launching his incredible TikTok channel, whether it was going on podcasts. I mean, Kamala couldn't dream of it. How embarrassing was it?
As a matter of fact, the host of Subway Takes, they refused to upload the episode because she was so bad.
Isn't that crazy to think about? And there she was, trying to apply, and not apply. I mean, she was appointed once Joe Biden dropped out, appointed the head of the Democrat Party, and came how close to the White House in the Oval Office? A lot closer than makes me comfortable.
Normally, I would break here because we're 20 minutes to the hour, but I want to keep this going. So, Danielle Alvarez, supervisor.
I'm gonna pull back for. Can actually see now.
The Democrats think the problem is that the flashy thing, right? That hypnotized people like they were at some EDM festival with the new LED.
All right, let me go see if my shit's ready.
That it's just their messaging. I don't think it's their messaging.
I mean, listen, I hope they keep thinking that. It's the exact reason that they're going to keep losing their party right
But
now.
that's what
Is an embarrassment.
he's a smiling, charismatic guy whose ideas are awful. Kamala Harris couldn't even articulate her ideas. MAGA is pretty simple. We're putting America first as it relates to taxes low. We're trying, and I will say this, and some people get upset when I say it. Trump has been able to move in some spaces that Mitt Romney, I don't think, would have been able to move in on issues like trade. Traditional Republicans like Romney would hate the idea of tariffs. But speaking to you, we've traded jobs for Americans for cheap stuff. And, in the wake of that, we've seen whole parts of the country with higher unemployment. If you're a young person who wants to get a job, wants to buy a home, but the plant, the factory, the mill is gone, and Trump says, I just negotiated an auto plant or a chip plant or whatever. Even if that's not the type of work you're looking for, it's nice to know that those jobs are there, that we're not trying to move towards a service economy where everything's going to be cheaply imported. It's not the messaging the Democrats have a problem with, which, it is.
They have every
But
single
at the
problem.
end of the day, anyone that is reading the fine print of what they want to do, that's young, and this is the first, you gotta understand one thing. Democrats just have a lock on young people. Not anymore. Not in this free information age. I don't think it's just the messaging. I think younger people have gotten the message that the Democrats want to control life.
I think that that's fair. I mean, the first point
If you
that
could drop it in the
that I thought was
comments,
really interesting, you said you're
'cause
listening
I can't click on links while I'm
one of the things that I love about
streaming.
President Trump is he doesn't do things just
Not from my
because
phone
they're
anyway,
this
on
side
mobile.
of the aisle or that side of the aisle. He does things that are good for the American people and that are going to put America first. They might, they might not traditionally be Republican, but so be it. When someone says you can't.
Hang on, I gotta mute this for a second. God damn, someone doesn't know how to add a fucking printer. I didn't think they were going to put the mac and cheese on the fucking slider.
Live their lives, and I'm not trying to look down upon that as somehow quaint. It is life. If we are trading away all of the things that the American dream is supposed to be to other countries, we're outsourcing, we're importing. Look, I'm a free trade, free market guy, but not at the expense of the health of the nation. The Democrats keep saying, give us more power, more control. Let's redistribute. Let's have a life where you wake up in a government home, you get on government transportation, you go to government education, and the government will figure out a job for you. That doesn't feel like freedom. And if I were a young person, maybe you are some people will bet against themselves. Maybe the comfort of the bosom of government sounds good to you. Don't want to stake your own claim. But I can see why, not just Trump bravado, not even just him making good on the promises, that the vision laid out by this Republican Party, which I think is different than the Bush Republican Party and the McCain Republican Party and the Romney Republican Party, is one that says all of these things that you heard about in the American dream that you feel like aren't there, we're going to bring those things back. We're going to make it so if you choose to go to college and you do have student loan debt, and you're going to pay it off because you have a job commensurate with your degree, we're not going to subsidize degrees in lesbian poetry because there's no market for that out there. If the trades are what you're looking at, we want to make sure that we have skilled tradespeople who can make a good living, and we aren't just outsourcing production, manufacturing, and the trades. And if you, for whatever reason, just want to get a job and live your life, we're going to make sure the economy has a place for you. You're not going to have to compete with the entire damn world for a job in your home country. It's not that we hate immigrants, but America first means we want to see Americans have that opportunity to live their lives before we start inviting.
I've been eating all day, so I'm eating a couple sliders.
Exactly right, and I remember traveling with the president during the campaign. Whether it was to Pennsylvania or to Michigan, and you saw these towns, these communities that were just decimated. Because jobs had been exported, and we need to re-import these jobs. We need to keep the talent here. We have the most talented. The American people are the most talented, hardworking. That is our DNA. And so why are we importing students? Why are we importing outside work? Why are we shipping off jobs when we can get that done right here? And I think the point you made is balancing that education. When my husband was in the Marine Corps, one of his best friends, he's a master plumber. He lives in Michigan.
No, I'm at Sheets.
Provides a great life for his wife and for his
Culver's
family.
actually sounds pretty good.
Decided to go to trade
I will
school
say I'm a little bit disappointed in
and I think that there was
Sheets
a time,
sliders.
especially for my generation, and I sort of understand.
Don't even taste like they're fucking cooked all the way.
Get a college degree if you can get your. I don't have a master's. I have just a bachelor's, but
me too.
Was like if you can get your master's, if you can go to law school, because that was kind of the propaganda we were being sold of just go to school.
If the economy was narrowing, there's always going to be a top percentage, and it felt like college was the way into it. Parents always want what's best for their kid.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s,
they got great shakes. But
and again, I'm not trying to insult anyone here. That
I may grab one of them on the way home. On the way.
There was a job for you. And you look at what life was like, and Democrats will say, well, that was with segregation, and that was when women weren't given equal opportunity. You can have the best of both worlds if you get it right. And it sounds like what really made Trump attractive was he was willing to break with all the traditional party lines and say he was a rich guy. He's a national brand. I know he's a WWE Hall of Famer. But somewhere along the way, he noticed, perhaps as a businessman, with a head for marketing, what's missing, right? What's missing? We had Bush, we had McCain, we had Romney, we had Clinton, we had Obama. What's missing? What's missing is that millions of Americans feel left out by what's going on in Washington. I understand their frustration. Bill Clinton, I feel your pain, right? But then he became part of it.
But by the way, can we highlight the consistency here? Because President Trump has been talking about some of these issues
For 25
since
years.
the 80s.
Yeah, even longer.
He's been seeing these trends happen, and a man who
He said it to Oprah in 1987. We're getting ripped off.
a man who is built an empire, built the New York skyline. I mean, incredibly prolific businessman, didn't need any of this. Said, I have to do this.
He did start with a little bit of a silver
America
spoon.
and our people deserve better. Someone who didn't need it.
That's true.
Ended up being all the lawfare against him, 2 assassination attempts. I mean, everything that they have thrown at him. He doesn't need any of this, and he does it. And in the first few months of this administration, has delivered. And by the way, in the first administration, just success after success. And I think that that's why when it came time to vote for him again, people said, oh my gosh, we cannot do another 4 years of Joe Biden. First of all, we learned he was mentally incapacitated at that CNN debate. By the way, it's been a year and a couple days since, the best debate performance in history by President.
It's been 1 year since the assassinations have been bumped.
What a crazy, I was talking to a friend about that on the phone on the way in. I can't believe it's been a year. It's been the longest and shortest year ever. And it's probably the most packed news week that we ever had a year ago. Between the CNN debate, what was the greatest Republican National Convention. I mean, I believe that the people who put that together should have won, the Daytime Emmy Award for programming on that. An assassination attempt, Joe Biden drops out, Kamala Harris gets in, Tim Walz, talk about trying to go after young voters and young men. My gosh, they put Tim Walz out there, and I think they still are hoping that he's going to show. What a disaster. What a busy news week looking back at a year from now, and how grateful that the American people turned out.
I'm going to throw this away, and then we'll get back on the road, guys.
13 battleground states.
Only about 20 minutes from the job site.
In every demographic, it just, thank God that
Digging
we
in my-
are, and thank God that President Trump is
Thanks for
at
napkins,
home
and there's more napkins in here. All right, I
leading
get my
this
napkins now.
administration, leading this nation.
All right, well, let's close that.
I'll be right back.
Going into the 26 midterms.
Oh, nice nipples.
Again,
She's got nipple rings, too. You can see them right through her shirt.
Democrats got too radical in the 60s. He was there. He was a, emerging full-time radical, but understood it. The malaise of the 70s led to the Reagan Revolution. And look, I was a Ross Perot guy, I'll admit. But if Ross Perot were not there, HW would have gotten a second term. He knew that the party went too far to the left. There's nobody right now who is course correcting the party. As a matter of fact, in their state of rudderlessness, that's where Mondami is filling in a blank, where Bernie's back again for like the 18th time, where AOC and Jasmine Crockett are filling the vacuum. That there's people don't like us. Like they don't like. Remember Sally Field? You like me. You really like me. You probably don't remember that, but Sally Field won an award. She said, "You like me. You really like me." The people don't like them. And it's not even that Jamie Raskin is annoying or Jasmine Crockett sounds like a fool or AOC is just an influencer. It's what they're offering people don't like. And they keep pushing amnesty. They keep pushing single payer. They keep pushing subsidize this and subsidize that.
Oh, can you get out that way? Oh, no, it's the drive-through.
Poll and election results. People don't want that. And there's nobody who is the Daniel Alvarez of the DNC is going, guys, we gotta make a few changes. We gotta cut some of the
feeling under the weather. I get it.
You got this Olivia Giuliano person out there like, I'm gonna get.
Oh wow, they got wrinkled up pretty good on the side of that Trailblazer there.
Nobody's saying
that sucks.
And some of the bad you can do is to keep the shit.
No, the word you said is right. It's
relatively new too.
In some instances, it's unhinged, but in a rare moment of unity, even Democrats told Jasmine Crockett to sit down. So, in a very rare moment of bipartisanship, even the Democrat Party told her to sit down. But you're exactly right. And this is a great moment for the MAGA movement, for the Republican Party, for our conservative cause. And what I always tell anybody who will listen as we head into the midterms, where President Donald J. Trump will not be on the ballot,
Never again.
is that good governance is how we will maintain and expand majorities this midterm. And I think the big, beautiful bill is the first step. President Trump's leadership will be all over this midterm. We are going to govern well as a Republican Party. We have the President Trump's tax cuts in the big, beautiful bill. We have a secure border. We have, again, peace through strength across the globe. We have
an
economy that's hungry.
Man, I grew up with A&W in my little town in Michigan. Back then, you used to be able to go leave school for. We'd all run up to A&W real quick, get a burger, a dog, and a root beer. They stopped it my senior year. They wouldn't let people do it anymore because people stopped coming back to class.
I mean, if you take an omega-3 supplement, you can ask yourself, has it lowered your blood pressure, cholesterol, helped your knees, joint pain, stiffness, reduce inflation or swelling? If your answer is no, I don't know, or maybe you're not alone, better choice, Antarctic krill oil from Native Path. I am putting this in my own body. I can attest to it. Unlike fish oil, krill oil has more omega-3s and is far better absorbed and contains an extra powerful antioxidant called astaxanthin, delivering even greater health benefits overall. Antarctic krill oil, Native Path, comes with a 365-day feel-good guarantee. If you don't feel a real difference in your health, you get your money back. No questions asked. I got you. Okay.
Oh yeah, give it back.
Free shipping. But this special offer is only available at Krill. That's KRILL. KrillReport.com. That's KrillReport.com. KrillReport.com. Make your commute something to look forward to with the Sirius XM app. Jumpstart your day with morning headlines, musical motivation, and more. Doesn't kill you, makes you strong. It's a beautiful day. And online on the way home with hit podcasts and soothing instrumentals. Plus all your favorite live shows, on-demand episodes, and hosts to get you where you need to be. It's Andy Cohen, Kevin Hart, Alex Cooper, Jeff Foxworthy, O'Brien, Neil King in the house. Just search Commute on the Sirius XM app.
Honey, I had the worst dream last night. We were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, huh?
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos.
I know it's been on our list. Isn't getting life insurance a huge pain? It's so much paperwork, and you have to go see the doctor. I wouldn't even know where to start.
With Ethos, Dave said it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. Plus, it's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house. He was able to choose an amount that worked for his needs, and Ethos
Hey, Big Taco.
so easy and clear.
10 minutes with no medical exam? Ethos, here we go.
We got some kind of fair going on there.
Night.
Help protect your loved ones today with Ethos. Life insurance made easy. Visit ethos.com/free to apply today. That's ethos.com/free.
Hi, this is Mike Huckabee. President Trump said he wants to teach our kids to love our country, and that's why my team created the Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide will teach your kids all about President Trump's accomplishments and his plan to save America and make it great again, but also show them how they can stand with President Trump to defeat the enemies of freedom. And right now, I want you to have it for free. To order, visit KidsWantTrump.com. Visit KidsWantTrump.com.
In sports, it's the dream team. And if your car is out of warranty, there's a team for that as well. You're the driver, your mechanic, and Endurance to pay for the repair bills. I'm Dan Kirkpatrick. In the past 5 years, auto repair costs have gone up over 36%. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all. With an Endurance auto protection plan, no matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done.
Pretty sure the right lane disappears up here.
Plans cover 24/7 towing, battery
Stock's back up. Yeah, who cares about the Cubs? Milwaukee, it looks like Milwaukee's coming for that ass. Go Tigers. Best team in the major leagues right now. Those are the best times off when you're not running around trying to get a bunch of shit done and go to shopping and blah, blah, blah. I would rather just veg. Cut my grass and veg. That's how you do it, man. Although it's been so fucking hot here. I almost had a heat stroke Sunday cutting the grass. But I had to because that rain was coming. Yeah, 113K. What am I missing? Right.
No, I don't think the Republican plan. I don't know who, but there's something.
She got destroyed in the primary. That wouldn't have. That wouldn't have. That I don't. Well, I don't know how it would have played out, but Nikki Haley, the country was not crying out for Nikki Haley.
Oh, definitely. I just, I don't know what they would do, but I know that was before Vance was picked, and so who knows what those. Because obviously there's other people behind this that we don't know about, and whatever their plot was, it's like something they were up to before Trump picked his vice president.
Well, like I said, I don't think the Democrats would have publicly said it, if thank you. Phil, Utah, you're the local majority. Hello.
Hey, Andrew, I'm your biggest fan, man. Listen to you every day. You're the only reason I have satellite radio. I'll tell you that for sure.
Well, Google's always right.
Anyway, I just wanted to mention a couple things. One is that here in Utah, I wear my MAGA hat for the last decade. And how many young people come up to me off the street or say, I like that hat, God bless you for, it's just a very common thing out here for average people to with Doge and what Trump is doing. Let's face it, Trump is a freaking patriot. I mean, he is the greatest patriot, and as is Elon Musk. But 1776, so our forefathers were very aware of this. Edward Gibbon wrote a series of 6 books, the history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. And then back in the 60s, a guy named Will Durant, who was a big historian, he laid out 4 reasons, namely the breakdown of the family, the delay of religion, the violence in sports, but primarily the overtaxing and overspending is what killed the Roman Empire. And if Trump and Elon haven't proved that, just the freaking waste and redundancies and I'm telling you, it's just crazy.
You're describing something known as the Tytler cycle, and the Tytler cycle is a thing attributed to a Scottish politician named Alexander Fraser Tytler, Lord Woodhouse, and he said that a democracy goes through a cycle like this: from bondage to spiritual faith, from spiritual faith to great courage. You can see the American Revolution in this. From courage to liberty, from liberty to abundance, from abundance to complacency, from complacency to apathy, from apathy to dependence, from dependence back into bondage. And we were somewhere between from complacency to apathy and apathy to dependence just a few years ago. I think Trump broke the Tytler cycle. For now.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Tytler.
Tytler.
I'll have to look that up. I have 9 brothers and sisters, a couple of passed, but I was the 4th oldest out of 10. One other story I wanted to tell you. My youngest brother is kind of tall and a hellraiser, and it was a veteran, and he was at the one of the protests back in the one in Wisconsin for it was about 4 years ago with the kid that defended himself and when he was being attacked. What was his name? But anyway,
Rittenhouse.
My brother would sit, and this is a thought for anybody that's a hellraiser. Don't dress with a MAGA hat or anything, but go into the Black Lives Matter or the protesting crowd, and when they yell, something, Black Lives Matter, my brother would be yelling, get a job, go to school, eat your vegetables, all stuff like that. It's just so funny. He actually has clips of that. Somebody took clips of it and put it online.
Oh, I got a good spot.
Just a thought of anybody that wants to have fun and protest, which protesting seems to be a sport anymore,
Well, we call that the Democratic Olympics.
All right, I got to run in and grab something real quick.
In business, they say you could have better, cheaper, or faster, but you only get to pick 2. What if you could have all 3 at the same time? Well, that's exactly code for Thomson Reuters.
All right, guys, I'll be right back.
Since they upgraded to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI, with a blazing fast platform for your infrastructure in application development and AI needs, where you can run any workload in a high availability, consistently high performance environment and spend less than you would with other clouds. And you want to ask, how is it faster? Okay. OCI's block storage gives you more operations per second, cheaper. Okay. OCI costs 50% less for compute, 7% less for storage, and 80% less for network. Better? Yes. Test after test, OCI customers report lower latency, higher bandwidth versus other clouds. This is the cloud built for AI and all your biggest workloads. Right now, zero commitment. Zero commitment. You can try OCI for free. Head to oracle.com/WillCount. That's oracle.com/WillCount. I'm Billy Joel. We've got stories about my songs and lots more on the Billy Joel Channel. With new stories from Billy, his bandmates, and the creators of the new HBO documentary, Billy Joel, and So It Goes. The Billy Joel Channel. Throughout July, Channel 79, and on the Sirius XM app. Just search Billy Joel.
Woo. All right.
Struggling with joint discomfort? Now you can discover improved flexibility, easier movement, and joint.
Is everyone my mod? No, only the people that come here regularly.
Customers like Joe are feeling better fast. I feel 10 years younger.
I do that so nobody can block anyone's free speech. But when you're new, that may happen, depending on how you act. And because I drive a lot, I always want to have a mod in the chat. Yeah, there are. You're one of them. Yeah. I don't mind. I just think, why isn't this working? Fuck, to change the password? Alright, let's do this. Fuck.
This is my packet. President Trump said he wants to teach our kids to love our country. And that's why my team created a kids guide to President Trump. This fun guide will teach your kids all about President Trump's accomplishments and his plan to save America and make it great again. But also show them how they can stand with President Trump to defeat the enemies of freedom. Right now, I want you to have it for free. To order, visit kidswanttrump.com. Visit kidswanttrump.com now.
Fuck. I need to figure out what this password is. God dang it.
Plan your kids' education, all the other bills. Well, then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the better way to get life insurance. Your free quote, visit ethos.com/willcount. That's ethos.com/willcount. Not available in those states. Rates vary.
Majority by American
damn it.
Unpopular opinion. Tommy Victor. As good a riff writer as Dimebag Darrell. I love Pantera. I'm a lifelong Pantera fan. I'm a lifelong Prong fan. If I had a battle vest, Prong would probably be in the center patch. Just saying. Wednesday, 695 Patriot 957-2874. I know I went long with Danielle, but she was in studio with a lot to get to. By the way, Andy No just put up a video of this one of the shooters that's on the run. And now this is Texas. Texas law enforcement, right? Benjamin Saul apparently was a veteran. There's a video of him showing small arms tactics to Antifa 3 years ago.
Can't find
I
the.
guess he was the leader of this group. Most of them Antifa. Two of the gentlemen who were posing as women were sent to the men's prison. Again, this is Texas. They're going to catch this guy. And they're going to catch him fast. You know what's amazing is the Democrats, no matter what's happening, like literally armed assaults on federal law enforcement officers, they won't stop. They won't stop. They shouldn't be wearing masks. Well, when you have a political party that wants to give their identities to the cartels, I don't blame them for trying to obscure their faces. I don't blame them. The Democrats want to get ICE agents killed. So their whole love affair with the Capitol Police was fake from day one. That stupid plaque they wanted to put up, fake from day one. Third hour next, Sirius XM Patriot.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing you to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Need to sell your house fast? Whether you're facing foreclosure, stuck with bad tenants, or just ready for a fresh start, House Buyer Network can help. We buy homes as is, for cash. No fees, no commissions, no repairs. Get a fair cash offer in just 24 hours and close in as little as 7 days. Visit housebuyernetwork.com/radio now for your free no-obligation offer. That's housebuyernetwork.com/radio. House Buyer Network. Fast cash, no hassle.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything, from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-294-7532. That's 800-294-7532. 800-294-7532.
Human dignity.
We are
Sirius XM Patriot, Channel 125.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Val Scott. Nearly a week after deadly floods in Texas killed 120, scores of people are still believed to be missing. Search crews continue to scour miles along the Guadalupe River in hard-hit Kerr County. Lieutenant Colonel Ben Baker says the well-being of first responders is a priority.
We process the best we can. We have professionals in place, a crisis intervention team. All the agencies have some members representing there.
The search continues for at least 160 people. Also at townhall.com, the Trump administration continues pushing for a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Secretary of State Rubio said the U.S. and Russia exchanged new ideas for Ukraine peace talks after he met with his Russian counterpart. He said they discussed a new and different approach, although he did not elaborate. Rubio said President Trump has been increasingly frustrated with Russia's Vladimir Putin and the ongoing military conflict. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Meanwhile, on the battlefront, it was another night of Russian drone and missile strikes against Ukraine.
President Zelensky said that Russia was stepping up its terror against Ukraine and the civilians, of course. We were woken up in the early hours of this morning by explosions. We could hear the screeching of drones and also the noise of the Ukrainian air defences. Now, Russia launched about 400 attack drones last night and 18 missiles, and they were primarily targeted at the capital, Kiev.
BBC's Charlotte Gallagher. The Los Angeles Fire Department says 31 construction workers are safely out of an industrial tunnel that partially collapsed Wednesday evening. The workers were as much as 6 miles inside from the only entrance and 400 feet underground. More at townhall.com.
I can't fucking get into this fucking phone.
As the summer heats up, so do the bills. If you're like a lot of folks, you're not selling your home anytime soon, but that equity you built, just sitting there. That's why I trust Mike and Brian at Fellowship Home Loans. Love this place. It's in their name, their DNA. They're the team I've used personally, and they treat every client like family. Fellowship Home Loans. They know how to help you tap into your home's value wisely, whether that's a HELOC or a cash-out refi. Fellowship is a direct lender and operates with your best interests in mind. Maybe it's time to finally knock out that renovation, pay off some debt, or just add a little cushion to your retirement account. With rates still reasonable and inflation squeezing all of us, your home might be the smartest financial tool you've got right now. So if you're staying put this summer, make your home work for you. Visit my friends at Fellowship Home Loans, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Banker, CBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing American MLS number 819-382. A special tribunal has indicted Bangladesh's ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Correspondent Karen Chalmers.
The tribunal has accepted charges of crimes against humanity filed against her in connection with a mass uprising in which hundreds of students were killed last year in Bangladesh. The three-member panel indicted Hasina alongside former Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan and a former police chief on 5 charges. Hasina and Khan being tried in absentia. A lawyer appointed by the state for Hasina and Khan appeared Thursday and filed a petition to drop their names from the case, but the tribunal rejected the plea. I'm Karen Chalmers.
The South Korean court has approved the new arrest of former President Yoon Suk-yeol on charges related to his brief imposition of martial law in December. Yoon was formally removed from office back in April. Breaking news.
Put it on quartering now. I'm not going to be able to recover this if this doesn't work.
Went momentarily viral on YouTube one night, and I remember I was doing IRL at the time. It was during the after show because he
do something. I'm trying to do something on this phone. It's fucking trying to reset this iPhone, but I can't. They put their own passcode on it, and I'm trying to hack it using some of the main emails that I have connected to it. Freaking idiots, man.
He posted this video, and I remember at the time seeing that on accident, like, this is weird, and it was, I mean, it's disturbing. The video came down. He's now on trial. So he was this,
Oh, no. Familiar? He does, but he also kind of does look like somebody who could snap.
Okay, the thing is, he's on trial. His trial started a couple days ago, and without a doubt, I think this person is like deeply mentally disturbed. Like, if you told me he was schizophrenic, if you told me he had some like clinical manic issue, I would believe you. Because at the time during this video, it was like justifying why he did this, because at the time he was like, well, my dad works for the government is bad, and also I'm going to declare myself president, and I'm going to activate Mo's army, and they'll be organizing everywhere, and like he was giving out all these crazy instructions. And he's on trial now. They, of course, is describing him as a crazy conspiracy theorist. It says he executed and beheaded his father, posted footage on YouTube because his dad wanted to stop him from becoming the next Donald Trump. Justin DeMamone, 33, took the stand at his trial.
Later, Antics. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate you. Sorry it's been so boring. This should have been done quickly, but some fucking idiot changed the password on this.
Tried to take away his 9mm handgun. I believe his family was aware that he was having like psychological issues.
How would he become the next Donald Trump?
Well, he declared himself president, Melanie. Obviously, that keeps it up.
I guess so.
The other part of this was that he's in Pennsylvania. He's on trial in Bucks County. He was living with his parents, his dad and his stepmom, I believe, and he drove onto a military base. So, just a lot of stuff not making sense. And this is the family of a lot of people's faces. But I just can't imagine being the family of this is the closing trial. And unfortunately, had to use deadly force.
Unfortunately, guys, I had to do it. It was my only option. What the heck? Crazy. I can't help but feel like there is a bit of a danger with things like when people get really into certain movements online and they think that reflects real life, when a lot of times it doesn't. You'll see that on, there's Reddit, 4chan, even X, right? You see when you're constantly enthralled in that, and I see it a lot on X, because I'm on X every day, and then you go out in the real world and you're like, oh wait, real people aren't talking about this. Real people aren't thinking about this. But when that's what you see constantly online, it's real to you. And so there is a danger in getting super into these movements, and there can be a danger of getting too into conspiracies as well. I love conspiracy theories. I have been really into them for the past few years, but there is a level, you have to have a level head about it. Like, okay, don't take everything so serious, because not every conspiracy is real.
Right. I'm also not even convinced. Like, they're calling him a conspiracy theorist, but I think this person is crazy. Like,
right, for sure.
There's one thing to be like, hey, I have questions about, the Epstein list. I have questions about the way the government is funding something, or involvement in this.
All right, I'm going to just give it to him like this, because I can't reset part of it.
Like, I don't think that they're exactly the same thing, and I don't like that the New York Post is equating them to it. No,
Right.
A delusional person who's unwell could fall down a online rabbit hole and need some of their psychosis for sure.
Exactly.
But I don't. Let's not say all conspiracy theorists are cops giving a turn away from this.
Yeah, because I do love conspiracies, but I think that it's tough whenever you're dealing with somebody who is mentally unwell, and because conspiracies can negatively affect mentally unwell people for sure, because they can take things way too far, and they just don't have the discernment to say, oh, this one's crazy, or this one makes sense, but this one's crazy, or maybe this makes sense, but there's parts about it I don't agree with, or they just go so all in with some of these, and then they get into some crazier and crazier stuff. Because
what's going on? What am I missing? I'm not paying attention to chat, guys. I've been doing this. What's going on here?
But then there's also going to be a lot of crazy stuff mixed in as well. And so without the discernment, you can put yourself in a dangerous situation.
Right. I mean, you can't keep
Really? Yeah. Gotta have some. She needs to post something, like a picture or something. Hey, Jody.
If they were trying to say
I think pretty much everyone in here has already said hi in Rumble, but if you haven't yet, I need you to, because it's a requirement for monetization. God damn it! What is the fucking? Let me try this.
I also think about the rest of the family in this case. He's got siblings. He's got.
Please be the right password.
Married. There are so
nope.
many go through this. Like, you have this person you grew up with who has taken away someone you love, and it's just awful. And you know, I think comparing the New York Post article where they're saying you want to be the next Donald Trump, like kind of, but also this happened before Trump was elected, and again, I go back to the fact that the guy, cause I reported on this when it was breaking, and I remember watching the video, and he was like, it doesn't make any sense, but he also is like, I am now the president.
Okay, I got to figure out how to do this. Let me go drop this off.
I feel like the author of this article too, it just has a
All right.
bad case.
I'll be right back.
So they gotta try
I'll put you guys back on outside view.
everything. For just him saying, I want to be president means, oh, look, this guy is being like Donald Trump.
Be right back.
Murdered somebody. Because people try to create this false narrative that MAGA is some murder cult. And it's just like, couldn't be further from the truth.
Right. I mean, this happened January 30th, 2024, but they're saying he wants to be a charismatic politician, so that couldn't have been lined to be like Biden. It had to be.
Oh, yeah.
Even though Biden was president at the time. What do you think on your experience as a Christian?
All right, guys. I'm going to drop this stuff off, and I'll be right back. We'll ride together from there. No more boring.
How do you, like, if you believe in the doctrine of forgiveness, that you're supposed to forgive people who have trespassed against you, I just can't imagine what this is like. It makes me think of when Carmelo Anthony attack happened in Texas, and you've got the victim's family immediately saying, well, we forgive him. Do you forgive? How do you come to forgiveness in cases like this where violence occurs?
This is so tough because if I try to think of something like this happening to one of my family members, it's like something on it. It's a lot easier to forgive if it's a lot smaller scale of something. But something like this, man, my initial reaction would be, wow, I don't know if I ever could forgive that. So my thought with something like perhaps in the Carmelo Anthony case, right, where Austin Metcalf's dad was forgiving, that could have been a supernatural experience. That could have been just the Holy Spirit, dwelling within him that produced the forgiveness that he had. Because against our human nature, we're not going to. It's not in our nature to be forgiving people in human nature, because human nature is sinful. So I think in cases like this, it has to be a supernatural spiritual experience, and that is evidence that looks like evidence that Christ is within him, that he was able to, beyond his own flesh, to have a forgiving spirit.
Yeah, I think there is. It's always interesting to hear about the families of the families who are I can't talk right now. They're family members as victims of violent crimes and this forgiveness, but also forgiveness doesn't mean that there's no justice, right?
Exactly.
Like if Austin Metcalf's dad forgives Carmelo Anthony, you can still say, but he should have to be punished. Yes. In this case with Justin Moan, I have this paragraph highlighted, and I almost don't want to read it because it talks about his mother, who described the horrifying moment she found her husband's head in the bathroom of their house.
Oh,
like,
what a nightmare.
You could have empathy for someone who is mentally ill, although he has pled not guilty to this. So I don't know how much you feel about this during the trial.
We out of here.
But his actions have found impacts on the people who raised him, on his siblings, especially.
We out of here.
That's so disturbing and such a horrible thing to go through. On the other hand, this
phone's
is
getting hot.
So
That's
you have to reconcile this. It's so hard.
Because no
That is
content.
why you hear so many people talk about. I think it's interesting to hear some people talk about forgiveness in cases like this because it's so beyond your control. But that is actually one thing that you might have influence over, like your
Astrocast today, all estrogen. It's Melanie and kind of clear.
I just can't imagine it. But I wanted to bring your attention to the weird crime story that this happened.
It reminds me of what was that in the last election when my memory is a little foggy on it. Maybe you'll remember, but didn't some dog?
Oh, Melanie, I'm so sorry. I just accidentally moved because I'm athletic. Tell me the story. I'm censoring you, but not on purpose, just because I'm dumb.
Wasn't there earlier this year or late last year where a young woman, or I don't know how old she was, but she murdered her dad because he voted for Trump? I want there's something like that.
The thing is that you do hear these stories. I don't remember that one. There was a girl who, like a teenager, who attacked and fatally injured, I believe, her dad and her mom and her step.
Drive to Red's Irish Goodbye.
Red's Irish Goodbye. Let's go. And I think
I think it might have been. It was I don't know if it was a man pretending to be a woman or a woman pretending to be a man. I don't remember, but they did kill their dad. And I thought it was for voting for Trump, but it may have just been for not approving of their dysphoria, right?
Okay, 357. Yeah, I just trimmed mine down a little bit. The ends were getting kinky. If you know what I mean. You know how it gets. Because they were sticking together. Maybe because I brushed it too much.
Yeah, and so then I was telling the story to my mom, and I'm like horrified by it, and then so I was like, oh, so then this guy who's pretending to be a girl, this transgender person, and he kills his dad that was living with him because his dad was disabled.
I hear you, Mitty.
Like, he put him out of his misery, and it's so funny how she had such a different perspective, because I was like, oh.
And one thing about that too is like, let's see the video that got him in jail. Why is he in jail? You know. I want to be automatically supporting someone that's in jail for some bullshit.
Yeah, that reminds me of this detransitioner that I follow on TikTok. And I saw his journey for a while, because I saw him on TikTok when he was still identifying as a
Yeah, it was a while ago.
I don't know, a year and a half ago. But he was more based than others, right?
But I remember that shit going down.
Still pretty conservative in most values. Well, then he found Jesus. He's completely detransitioned now, and it's been a wonderful story. But what he says is they're talking about how his parents because he didn't grow up with his parents instantly supported his gender dysphoria, instantly supported him transitioning. And one thing that he said, and he loved his parents, so he wasn't trying to be harsh with them, but he was saying that he wished that they would.
All right, Pink, thanks for coming out and hanging out with us for a minute. I appreciate it, man. I'm about 44 minutes from my destination, and that's where I'm going to end the stream.
And trying to be a woman, and it just messed him up in the head. And he's like, hey, I wish my parents were actually being parents in this situation and saying, no, you're a boy.
I think it's weird that we can live in a society that promotes body positivity and acceptance, except in this one case.
I know.
If you're overweight, that's okay. You're just whatever, bigger bone, and you're beautiful no matter what. But if you believe you're born the wrong body, then you have to be instead of being no, accept yourself physically the way you are, which is what you say with peace. You say that makes sense. You should mold yourself into chemicals, or essentially silo yourself socially. And I don't think that's compassionate, because there are two. Often, I'm gonna generalize here, but I feel there are kind of two types of parents we see. A set of parents that are we're afraid of what's happening.
Always resist the darkness.
Right.
I love this farmhouse here, though. It's so pretty. You can see where they added onto it. It's still all brick.
We have a special kid, and instead of it being oh my God, there are multiple genders since they were two, before this was even a concept about gender, which I find weird. It's reading your own desire to be unique, quote unquote, into your child.
And that's when it's straight up child abuse. It's one thing to where the parents who are genuinely scared and being manipulated by doctors, but it's another when you see I Am Jazz, when you see Jazz Jennings' parents who, especially the mom, seems to be the biggest factor here, who pushed this on their son at such a young age. That's just straight up child abuse. There's no other way around it. Nobody manipulated him to doing or her to doing
Anybody
all
seen?
that, right?
Well, I seen him yesterday.
Would it have been like this?
Eggsy. He sent me it, dude. He fucking all over X last night.
That's on like social media, on Instagram, things like that. But child influencers started with things like TLC, right?
Yeah, and I'm curious at how that even truly behind the scenes began with Jazz Jennings, because you have Jazz's mom, I forgot her name, but she's like at like 3 years old is when Jazz had his first interview with Barbara Walters. So how did that even look like? Was there any sort of connection to begin with? Was this manufactured, or was it just like, oh, the mom trying to get some virtue points, or being like, I want to have a child star, I want my child to be a star. Let me call Barbara Walters, or let me call the media and see if I can get some interviews for this. I'm just curious how that all unfolded, but at the end of the day, what that mother did was essentially, in a way, prostitute, similar to prostitution, prostitute their child, even though it like actual prostitution, but she pimped him out, ruined his body beautifully, science Frankenstein experiment, castrated him when he was a minor, and ruined his life and shortened his lifespan, because these hormone surgeries will shorten your lifespan. Hopefully he doesn't end up,
Hey guys,
but at the very
a little bit of premium time on the way home. So I think it's about everybody here has a Rumble Premium sub. Before we get home. Thanks everybody for hanging out.
Log on YouTube, or they have TikTok.
Premium exclusive.
I think it's
Love you guys. Meet us over there